Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ask an Atheist. My name's Ethan, and as usual, I'll be your host for the evening. And my guest tonight is Captain Dadpool. Mr. Dadpool, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to finally sit down with you.
Yeah.
So before we jump into anything, can you do the voice you did when you prank called the show?
Oh God.
Because for those that don't know, he prank called the Perspective one time, and he was doing this. I can't even remember what it was about, but the voice was hysterical.
I did a Southern accent.
Can you do it, or is that
Yeah.
too much pressure?
Yeah. It was like, hey, now I heard y'all talk about how there's no proof of God in the Bible, but if you look at the trees around you, you will see there's proof right there. So what do you got to say about that? That's kind of. I think that's what I did.
Yeah, it did sound something like that.
God, that was so long ago now.
It was. It's been like 3 years since that happened. I, I was like in the beginning, I was believing you, and then as time went on, I'm like, this guy's got to be fucking with me right now.
Yeah, it was Dave Warnock set me up for that. He was
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Hey,"
he did.
he was like, can you call the show and like pretend to be a Christian?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely, I can do that."
Dave Warnock is the absolute sweetest guy there really is.
He is.
Such a great dude.
Yeah.
So, anyways, how long have you been an atheist for?
6, 7 years. I actually have the date I became an atheist tattooed on my wrist.
No shit. You remember that date? I
Yeah,
can't read it. It's too small.
yeah. It's January 10th, 2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah. January
What
10th,
made you
2018.
remember that?
It took a while to like figure out, but like I wanted to know the specific date. So like yeah, I just retraced my steps basically. I was like, what was going on? I remember there was a certain day when I was in my car when I was just like bawling my eyes out, and I was like, God, because for those who don't know, I was a die-hard Christian.
I can't picture that.
I know. I was fucking in it, man. And so yeah, that day I was like, God, I'm starting to not believe in you anymore. I need you to tell me or show me that you're still here for me in some way. Like I know, like I'm not asking for a miracle. Just show me, like you would know what I would need in this moment to prove to me that you're still here.
Right.
And like when I asked that question, it was just like deafening silence. And then I stopped crying and I was like, "Oh my God, I don't think God's real." Wow. And I was just like peace like came over me. And I was like,
Really?
I'm good. Yeah, it was a really surreal moment. Which is why I had to track down the date and tattooed on me. But yeah, it was a pretty wild experience.
So, did you have a heavy religious upbringing?
No, I was exposed to religion very early, like mostly by my grandma. Like my mom's like a believer in some sort of God, but my grandma, who's someone I visited every other weekend growing up, she took me to
Mhm.
church, and that's where I converted, and I saw the whole Hell's Gates play that they do in the Baptist churches. You know, where they show people burning in hell for children for some reason.
Are you serious? They do that?
Oh yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, it's like a dramatic performance that Baptist churches do, where they
Wow.
just depict people like dying and then either going to heaven or burning in hell, and they show that to children.
That's insane.
Yeah, talk about indoctrination.
Yeah, and brainwashing.
Yeah, but yeah,
Wow.
so I was like Christian-ish
Okay.
until about high school. High school, I was invited to because being young, I was still like church was very boring,
It is boring.
But in high school, I was invited to a youth group. And I went there and I never like experienced anything like it before. It was like they had a rock band and strobe lights and fog machines, and there was a snack bar you could buy like nachos and shit from, and everybody was like really excited for me to be there. Like, hey man, welcome. The youth group was called The Edge. I was like, welcome to The Edge. We're so glad to have you. I was like, wow. And me being a young impressionable teenager, I was like starving for that kind of social acceptance.
Right.
So I was hooked. So I kept going, and then I got more and more into it. I started reading the Bible obsessively. I read the entirety of the Bible by my sophomore year, I think.
How the fuck did you get through that thing?
I felt like I had to. It wasn't fun, but I felt like I had to. Basically, yeah. So like I had study hall in high school, and that's where I read. I read during study hall and lunch, and I would come to school early, and read before classes started. So yeah, got through the entire thing, beginning to end. The problem is when you convert to Christianity later in life, or as a result of being invited to a church, you're told what the Bible says,
right,
before you read it. Like you're given rose-colored glasses as soon as you walk in the door. So you have like this lens that you read it through, and then oh God. Tell me when you want me to stop talking, because I
keep talking, dude. That's right. You're my guest. Talk away.
Let's do it. All right. So, about my senior year, maybe the year after, I knew the Bible really, really well. And I started having elders of my church come up to me and be like, you have a gift. God has called you to the ministry. He wants you to teach his word. Like, multiple. And I was, my church was the Assemblies of God Church, was a charismatic Pentecostal church. They believe in prophecy, speaking in tongues, all that stuff.
Oh, did you ever speak in tongues? Sorry to interrupt.
I sure did.
Will you do it right now?
I can't do it right now.
Damn it. Okay.
No, sorry.
Continue.
The thing is, I never felt comfortable doing it, even as a believer. Like it felt weird because. So okay. How do I want to go here? So when you, in my denomination, the Assemblies of God, speaking in tongues was considered the initial evidence of the infilling of the Holy Spirit. So if you speak in tongues, that's proof that God has filled you with the Holy Spirit. And so everybody knows.
Right.
So there's these services that are dedicated specifically to filling people with the Holy Spirit. They'll play a certain songs and preach a certain message. And then at the end, they'll have you come up to the altar and be like, anyone who wants to receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, come to the altar. And I did it. And then, like the pastor will come up and like, he'll put a hand on your forehead and be like, the Spirit of God is filling you right now. Speak in tongues. Go for it. It's fine. You got it. Just talk. Not exactly like that. But it was that same kind of like, you got it. Just speak in tongues now. God's in you, my child. It's like, okay. So I started just speaking in gibberish. And I think that lasted like a few weeks, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. It feels really weird.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So like, that's probably like where I first broke for my church, is that doctrine, because if you look in the Bible, again, I knew the Bible very, very well. I'm one of the few people who read it. Most Christians do not read the Bible.
True.
I did. I read the shit out of it. So when they were like, this is the initial evidence of the infilling of the Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues, and they referenced like Acts chapter 2, the upper room where the disciples congregated, and they spoke in tongues of fire appeared above their head, and they spoke in foreign languages, right? That's the verse that they used to justify this. So reading it, I'm like, they're literally speaking in other languages. They're not speaking in like the gibberish that you hear. Because it says the like Roman guards outside the building could understand what they were saying, even though they didn't know their language. That's a different kind of tongues. It's called xenolalia or isolalia. Sorry, isolalia.
Isolalia?
So glossolalia is just the gibberish that you hear all the time.
Okay.
Isolalia is when you speak the gibberish, but somebody else interprets it for you. So one of the spiritual gifts.
Like
xenolalia,
someone pretends to know what you're saying?
yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So like you'll speak in tongues, and then somebody else in church will just be like, they'll interpret it for the entire congregation. And then xenolalia is literally speaking in a different language that you have no prior knowledge to. That's the idea. So like if I go to Ukraine and I start speaking in Ukrainian, even though I don't know Ukraine or Ukrainian, and people understand it, that's xenolalia. So it's all this. Yeah, it gets kind of weird. So anyway, the type of tongues that my church taught in reference to Acts chapter 2 was the gibberish, the glossolalia. But that's not what's in Acts chapter 2. In Acts chapter 2, they were speaking another language that other people could understand. No one needed to interpret. They could understand. So it was like, this isn't biblical. Again, I was diehard. I wanted to like adhere to the Bible as closely as possible. So I was like, that's not what the Bible says. And of course, like I have like my pastor and who's been, doing this for 40 plus years. And here I'm a 21-year-old. She was like, are you going to argue with your pastor? I'm like, I don't know. I feel bad about it, but like, I'm just reading the fucking text, guy. Like, show me where this is in the Bible,
right?
And I'll believe you. And it's not anywhere.
So did you have,
God
aside
damn it,
from
Angelo,
your...
go the fuck away. What don't you have anything to do? God damn. You're everywhere all the fucking time. Go get a hobby, man.
You know Otangelo, he loves atheist channels, man. He follows us all everywhere.
Dude.
And he never learns either.
He doesn't.
So outside of the moment when you said you were crying and you had this come to atheist moment, was there anything else that led up to that?
Okay, so yeah, this will go back to my original story we were talking about.
Okay.
When I had all these elders in the church telling me you need to go be God's messenger and preach his word, yada yada, I went to Bible college. I did 2 years and didn't do very well. I did well. I was put on academic probation. Long story. We don't have to go into it now.
Okay.
It was involving chapel. They're really, really anal about how often you go to chapel. And they said I didn't go often enough, so I couldn't come back to school. I was like, are you serious? Anyway, so I joined the military. I was in the Army, as an infantryman. I went to Iraq for a year, got out. And now I had the GI Bill. And my wife at the time, divorced now, but she went to school too, and she was like, we were like, I'm out of the Army now. What do we do? And she was like, I'd like to go back to school. I was like, I could go back to school. I have the GI Bill now. It'll be free. I had to start all over. So my I had like 3 classes transfer because it was a different, anyway,
Okay.
private school type thing. So I had to start all over, but it was fine. It's like, okay. So the more and more I learned about the Bible, because I went into it like, I got this, no problem. Like, I know the fucking Bible better than everyone in my, like, I was cocky, right? I was like, you're not going to teach me shit. I know everything. And then the first thing they tell you when you go to Bible college is forget everything you learned about the Bible in church, because it's probably wrong. Yeah, that's the first thing they tell you. At least my experience, anyway. And they were right. Like, they started showing me, like, so for example, my denomination believed that the Gospels were written by eyewitnesses, and my school was like, yeah, no, they weren't. This is still a Bible believing, run by diehard Christian school. And they were like, no, they weren't written by eyewitnesses. There may be some information that came from eyewitness testimony, but Jesus' disciples didn't know how to read or write. So it definitely wasn't them. I was like, huh. Okay, that's kind of a problem. So that was kind of the theme, like, throughout my 4 years, is like one thing after the other that I previously believed and would have died for. They're now like, yeah, no, that's not true. I'm like, hold on. What do you mean? So eventually I was like, is any of this real? So after I graduated, I was still a Christian. I was still a member of a church. I was on a leadership team. I played in the worship band. But after a couple years, after wrestling with everything I'd learned in college, I was like, I don't think I'm a Christian anymore. Like, I don't think I can honestly identify as a Christian. I don't believe in the things that you're supposed to believe in to be a Christian.
Right.
So I wasn't an atheist at that point. I just didn't think I was a Christian.
Okay.
But I kept going to church because it was routine kind of thing. And like the questions just kept eating at me. Like, what else am I wrong about? You know?
Right.
So I was like, is God even real? And then I started doubting God's existence. I started, okay. I skipped a step. When I was in school, I got really, really into apologetics.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be, it's so hard to say this now.
Oh, no.
I wanted to be like a William Lane Craig.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, he was my fucking hero.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I was lost in the sauce.
I'm so sorry, man.
So, but because of that, because I took apologetics classes, and I was like hooked. I was like, I want to be this guy. So I read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, and I read God's Not Great by Christopher Hitchens as a Christian, because I was like, I need, if I'm going to do these debates, I need to know my enemy, so to speak, right? So I read those books, and I'm like, they're making some pretty good points. Got to be honest. But I wasn't convinced at the time. So when I started doubting God's existence, I was thinking about some of the things I read, especially in Hitchens' God's Not Great. And I was like, I don't think I believe in God anymore. And I was scared. I was scared as shit.
Right.
Because, like, I believed in God my entire life. Now I'm like, if I stop believing in God, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be punished? Like, am I going to, and weird, nothing happened when I stopped believing in God, like, at all.
Big surprise.
Yeah, right. Like, I was so scared, but
So, do you believe in anything supernatural at all, or do you reject all things supernatural?
I reject everything supernatural. Yeah.
What about paranormal?
Yes, still, but it would depend on how you would define paranormal, I guess.
Okay, so I guess paranormal is what comes with a wide variety. So let's
like ghosts, no.
Okay.
Zodiac signs, no. Things like that, yeah.
Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster.
See, that's different because those wouldn't be supernatural. Yeah, they would be
they'd be paranormal.
Paranormal, right. Yeah, like I'd be open to like paranormal things if there was evidence.
Okay.
But like there's no evidence for Bigfoot, there's no evidence for Loch Ness monster. Like they both turned out to be hoaxes. Right. So yeah, if someone said I saw a weird thing, I've experienced weird things. Sure. Okay.
We all have.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it out. And then you got to look into it, and it's like, oh wow, no, you don't actually have. You have some blurry photos. Cool. In the year 2025.
That's totally why I want to have you on my next call-in show when I bring it back, because we get a lot of paranormal calls. We get people with, and the one thing I try and do is like because I'm a smaller channel, I don't automatically get calls. So I'll promote my show in paranormal groups, and people will send me evidence in advance, and then I'll go ahead and I'll put their evidence on screen for us to analyze, whether it be video or pictures. And we get a lot of videos. Something just falls off the wall and someone will say it's a ghost. It's just people automatically go to the extreme. So
that's the way my mom is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like she believes in ghosts and things because she's experienced things that can't be explained. Like, yeah, Mom, they could absolutely be explained.
Yeah, we just may not have an explanation for them yet.
Yeah, right. Just because you don't know the answer doesn't mean it's automatically supernatural.
Exactly. All right. What about aliens?
Oh yeah. I think the Fermi paradox is a really good case for the existence of aliens.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
You're not familiar with the Fermi paradox? Okay.
No, I've never heard that before.
So statistically, there are probably millions of other planets in the galaxy that are capable of sustaining life. Okay. Very, very, very far away, but we know they're there, and they have like the same like conditions that would be conducive to being inhabited by life.
Okay.
So it's almost impossible that there's not other life forms out there.
I agree with that.
So the reason it's called a paradox is because, okay, if there's almost certainly probably thousands of other planets with life on them, why have we not been contacted by them, or why haven't we been able to contact them? Some of them should be much older than us, much more advanced than us. So that's what the paradox comes. There's all these explanations as to why maybe we haven't been in contact with them. There's like a time gap theory, a technology gap theory. My favorite is called the dark forest theory. So this theory is other civilizations that are much more advanced than us have seen what we've done with religion, and decided it would be better if they did not interact with us. So they chose to stay away. They're like, if we show up and show these human beings that we're real, they're going to kill each other because we would want to worship them. We would see them as gods. And then we would start killing each other over how to worship these new gods. So the dark forest theory is the aliens are like, we need to stay the fuck away from them. They're dumb.
So do you think like any, whether it be 1 or 20, any of these or UAPs, do you think any of them are real aliens in a real alien ship, or do you think they've not at all come into contact with our existence in any way?
I don't know. I don't think they've come into any contact at all.
Okay.
I definitely think there's life out there, and that's part of theory. Like, again, statistically, it's almost impossible that there's not life out there.
I would agree with that.
How advanced they are, that's a different question. They could still be just worms, as far as we know. Like, we can't say if they're more advanced than us or not. It's just like statistically, there's other life forms out there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, in your best guess, do you think they have the ability to reach us?
I have no idea.
No, you don't even want to guess?
It could go either way. That's that we don't know. We have no data. Like, they could all, again, just be multicellular organisms, or they could be, highly advanced civilizations. Like,
right.
There's no way to know.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. What is your opinion on today's political climate, and where do you stand? And please, God, don't tell me you're a Republican.
No.
Okay.
No. I was conservative-ish in my early life. But that was like before I knew anything about politics. That's just like where my parents were. So when I started getting into or learning more about politics, I was a huge fan of Bernie Sanders, because he's like, universal health care. Like, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sounds great.
Why don't we want that? So and then I have gay friends, I had trans friends, and I didn't hate them. But this is another thing. Like, growing up in church, like, I was convinced I was supposed to. Like, they spoke often against homosexuality. It's against God's nature, yada yada yada. And I struggled with that, because I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to believe, but I don't. Like, why should I hate these people? Who am I to say your lifestyle is wrong? Who
right?
It's like, you speak for God. Do I? What do you mean I speak for God? God didn't tell me that. You told me that. You told me this is what I'm supposed to believe.
Right.
God didn't tell me. So it's like, and I'm not a hateful person. I'm like a really friendly guy. I love people. I'm really accepting of everybody, like, just naturally. So when they're like, you need to hate gay people, I'm like, I don't think I can. It's just not in me. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know. So yeah, hard progressive liberal,
same
soy boy type.
So that means you're a cuck too, then, right? Because that's what I get called all the time.
Yeah, that comes with the territory. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm an Iraq war veteran.
Well, thank you for your service.
So it's like,
I know I'm not supposed to say that. My brother was a veteran, and he hated when people said that to him.
Well, yeah. But that's fine. Yeah. So it's like when they accuse me of being like a girly man or something, like, I'm like, okay, where are your medals? Because it's never another veteran. It's always just some internet troll.
Right.
Like, okay, go fight in a war and then come talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And come tell me that I'm not manly enough. Okay.
And how long were you in the military for?
So I was I was active duty for 3.5 years. And then I was in the inactive reserve, which means I really didn't do anything but if shit hit the fan, they could call me up. So that was like 4 years, and that's when I was in school. After I graduated, I joined the National Guard, and I was in the National Guard for 6 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I went to Macedonia as part of the mission to help them join NATO. I went to Philly during the riots, and I went to DC after the insurrection for security for Joe Biden's inauguration.
No shit.
Yeah. Because they had plans on doing another insurrection to stop the inauguration.
Wow.
Yeah. They were using the signal chat, like they were planning everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see it. Like it's like we could just download on your phone and read everything they're saying. And they're like, they're gonna like storm the Capitol again to stop Joe Biden being inaugurated, or they're gonna storm the White House. And so once the National Guard started showing up, they were all like, "Hey guys, plans canceled." Yeah. Go figure.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting times.
Yeah, we are living in interesting times. I used to be a hardcore Republican douchebag. I was a Christian too, but yeah, oh dude, totally, man. I was like, I look at my memories and I'll show my girlfriend and she'll just be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like it was bad. I was always pro LGBTQIA plus rights. But I was still a fucking conservative douche. Anyways, what are your thoughts on cancel culture?
God.
Whether it be from the left or the right.
I don't think cancel culture is really a thing.
Really?
Sorry, kids are behind me. They're distracting me. So when we talk about like freedom of speech, that's a constitutional government rule. The rule is the government will not tell you what you can and cannot say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't have that. Like you can't yell fire in a movie theater, things like that. Sure.
I thought that was a myth.
What's that?
The fire in a movie theater.
Is it a myth?
That's what I thought.
It might be because I can't imagine. I know there's been people who like claiming they have a bomb like in an airport and they get kicked out or they get kicked off a plane. That kind of thing happens. But aside from that, like on the internet, because that's where the whole cancel culture debate is, every social media platform is a private service. They make the rules. So like if you go on their service or on their site and you violate the rules, they're going to be like, you can't say that here. Okay, that's fair. So what happens is people go into these websites and they say things that they know they're not allowed to say. Mm-hmm. And then they get banned or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, cancel culture. I was canceled for speaking the truth." Like it's a self-afflicted wound. Mm-hmm. Self-afflicted cancel culture. Like they do it on purpose.
By the way, I was wrong. It's not a myth. You were right.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not a myth. You were 100% right.
Cool. Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
So, like, there are websites, like, you can go on, like, 4chan, right? You can say whatever the fuck you want on 4chan.
Yeah.
You're not going to get canceled on 4chan. But if you go on Facebook and you say the same things, if you go on Twitch and say the same things, if you make a YouTube video of you saying the same things, you're going to get banned from those platforms. So it's like, you can say this. You can go out on the street and say it. That's what free speech. Go out on the street. Say what you just said on 4chan to actual living people out on the road. Mm-hmm. You won't. They won't do it.
No, of course not.
So, it's like, are you really a believer in free speech? It's one of the funniest things on Twitter is all the white dudes complaining about how they can't say the N-word. They're like, we should be able to say the N-word because blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fucking say it. Go. What? They're not even saying it on Twitter. Say it. Go out on the road.
See what happens.
Downtown Brooklyn and say it. You're the free speech warrior, right? Go do it. But they don't, because the internet is their safe space.
Right.
Anyway.
A lot of people are comfortable hiding behind a camera or hiding behind a post or Twitter or Facebook. But when in reality, in person, they won't actually say the things they're preaching about. Right.
And the thing is, the things that I say on the internet, I would have no problem saying to any person in real life.
Same.
Because I don't say offensive shit. I don't feel a need to. I have no desire to say the N-word.
No, same.
So it's like, give me anything I've ever posted on Twitter. I will go to Walmart and yell it. You know, and not fear for my life in doing so.
Do you think, and this is kind of a iffy question here, do you think racial slurs are acceptable when it's the race themselves saying it?
Yeah, if they're saying it to each other?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So, like, the reason I asked that is because my brother and I, half brother, but I call him my brother, we used to use certain racial slurs, but it would be, I would use where I was from, my racial slur, and he would use his, but we would obviously never use the N-word or anything like that. So I was curious of your thoughts on that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So when it comes to like racial slurs, us as white guys, especially straight white guys, we're kind of at the top of the food chain.
We're privileged.
Right. We're very, very privileged. So when an underprivileged, oppressed class is saying, please don't refer to us by this word, they're punching up. You know, they're trying to fight for their own right to live and exist.
Right.
We don't need to do that. We're good. Like, we have that automatically as straight white guys. So when, I can't even think of any examples. But when like a minority group says, and they agree, like all within that minority group, we don't like being referred to in this term.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's wrong for us to say, yeah, we're gonna ignore that and call you this anyway. We're overextending our privilege,
right,
by doing that. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm assuming, and if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. You voted for Kamala Harris, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I voted for Hillary Clinton.
You did?
Yeah.
That was the year I didn't vote. I was it was 3 months out from the election, and I was so close to voting for Donald Trump. And then I came to my senses and I was like, I can't vote for this man. But then I couldn't bring myself to vote for Hillary either. So did you like Hillary, or was it just the lesser of the two evils?
It's more of it's a little bit of both. Like, Hillary Clinton certainly has her baggage, and she can kind of rub off on you in the wrong way. Like, she's not very good on camera. She's not really good at connecting with people, or not really good at connecting with the common folks. But she's very, very experienced, and that's what matters. So like she knows how the government works,
right?
So no, she's not ideal. Like, if I were to create the perfect Democratic candidate in a lab, it wouldn't look anything like her. But she's still echelons above the guy who said, yeah, I like to grab women by the pussy. Like, that should have been the end of it. But here we are.
It really should have. Or when he made fun of that reporter and he mimicked him on
Oh,
camera.
the disabled guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like,
another one.
or his, 5 bankruptcies, 32 felonies. Like, Republicans are so quick to say put people in jail. But then when it comes to Donald Trump, they just ignore everything. Like, my family, very, very Republican. It's
there's another moment in one of his rallies, one of his first rallies, where like a guy like heckled him, and he was like, "Throw him out and take his coat. Don't give." It was like winter, and he was like, "Don't give him his coat back. Take his coat from him. Throw him outside."
what?
Like, yeah, yeah.
What an
Are you
asshole.
serious? That's who we want to run the country and be in charge of the most powerful military in the world?
Oh my God.
It was like, take his coat, throw him outside in the cold. Like, dude. Yet here we are. Again.
Wow. I got a question from the audience for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Crap, where did it go? Oh, what do you think about Islam?
Obviously not a fan, but I'm gonna lean more on my history nerd take on this. The thing about the Bible is we don't have any of the original manuscripts. Everything we have are copies of copies of copies of copies, right? That's what's in the Bible. The Bible was canonized, or not even canonized. The list of the books that are in the Bible today were decided like 385, 300 and something years after Jesus' death. But all the original documents were just lost over time. Like they just didn't survive. They're made of papyrus. They deteriorate. They can't survive the elements. That's why we don't have them. Islam, on the other hand, the original manuscripts of the Quran were intentionally destroyed by Caliph Uthman.
Really?
Yeah. He one of Muhammad's wives had an original copy of everything he said and wrote down. She kept it in her house, and after he died, she still had it. So Caliph Uthman asked if he could have it, and she was like, "Only if you give it back to me after you're done." And so he was like, "Okay." So he compiled everything that was written, either on like little scraps or leather or whatever, and that's how we got the Quran. He compiled everything and destroyed all. There were several other original manuscripts. He destroyed all of them except for this one.
Okay.
This one from Muhammad's wife. He used it and gave it back to her, like he promised. But when she died, he went and got it and burned it. Like, so all the original documents that gave us the Quran that we have today were intentionally destroyed. We can't say the same thing about the Bible. A lot of the like Gnostic texts were destroyed. Other books that could have potentially made it into the Bible were intentionally destroyed, but the books that we have were not. So that's one of my biggest problems with Islam is all the original documents for your religion were burnt on purpose. They were destroyed on purpose by one guy, Caliph Uthman. One guy decided what he wanted the Quran to say, and he burnt everything else.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah. So it's like we have, and as a history nerd, that's sad because I would love to see what the original document said.
Right.
But they're gone.
So he basically made up what he wanted it to be. is what you're saying.
Maybe. We don't really know. Like, maybe he had good intentions. Maybe he tried to, like, compile everything in an honest manner, but probably not. He was not that kind of guy.
Believe it or not, my biological father is actually Muslim.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but he's a douche.
Yeah.
Major douche. Okay, I got another question from the audience for you. I'm putting it on screen in case you need to read it. Follow-up question then. If a candidate supported and worked toward everything you wanted to, but had horrible public behavior, would that behavior disqualify them from your vote?
No. Because some people are just not good communicators, or they're not good public communicators. They're not good on camera. They can't like talk normally. But they know. So, like, I have an autistic son.
Okay.
Not the greatest social skills.
Understandable.
But he's the fucking smartest goddamn kid. Jesus Christ, dude. He's the smartest kid in school. But he's not really good, like, if you ask him any question about space, he will be able to tell you the answer. It's
wow.
bananas.
How old?
8, 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
He's 9. Yeah. So it's the same way with adult. Like, I've known adults like that too. It's like, you're really, really smart, but you don't know how to talk to people.
Right.
You know, can you think of anybody like that matches that description?
Oh, absolutely.
Probably everybody, right, can think of somebody who matches that description. So how you interact with people socially is not the same thing as how knowledgeable you are and how good you are at your job. So, like, if you work for the CDC, I'd expect you to be a nerd. I wouldn't expect you to be able to go on camera and, like, make a big show of everything like that's happening. I'd expect you to keep to yourself and just be able to tell everything tell everyone about everything in regards to your job. That's how the government's supposed to run. We're not supposed to have all these propagandists who are like Pete Hegseth is having a makeup studio installed in the Pentagon. Why? Because he's on camera all the time, and he's comfortable talking on camera, but he doesn't know how to do his job. So it's like, you can either have someone who doesn't know how to talk to people but is really good at their job, or someone who knows how to talk to people but doesn't know anything about their job. Like,
so then let me follow up with this question.
Sure.
Let's say this person, would be a phenomenal president in every way. However, they acted like Donald Trump. Would you vote for them?
Oh, I don't know if I could square the two. Like, how could you be like Donald Trump and be a good president?
I agree, but hypothetically.
I don't know. Like, what would that even look like?
Probably an asshole, but I'm still curious.
Yeah. Like, I'd be fine with the president being an asshole. Because I've worked for assholes, especially in the military.
Oh, I can imagine.
Assholes. But they're really competent at their job. So, like, I'd be okay with that. Now, all the, like, federal, crimes and sexual assault charges and all that, no.
Okay.
But yeah, if he's just an asshole, that I'm fine. I can work with assholes.
Okay.
Plenty of experience doing that. That's no problem. If you're good at your job, if you're good enough at your job, I can work with your assholeness.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So last part. Are you a movie buff, music buff?
More movies, yeah, than music.
Nice. What's your favorite movie?
The Crow.
Dude, what did you think of the new one? I didn't see it
I
yet.
fucking hated it.
Was it that bad?
It was terrible. I was so excited about it and counting down the days, and we went and saw it in the theater, and it was terrible.
Yeah, the original, it's hard to match that. That was
Yeah.
just an incredible movie.
Yeah. Dude. They just don't make movies like that anymore.
They don't. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Okay, cool. Which is your favorite?
Oh, okay. Gonna get a lot of heat from this one, but there's a reason for it. Episode 1 is my favorite.
What?
Let me explain.
You need to explain this.
The first Star Wars movie I saw was A New Hope, Episode 4. And I didn't see 5 or 6, Empire Strikes Back, or I didn't see those until later in life. The next one I saw was in theater, and I saw A New Hope like in my house on a VHS tape. And then I went and saw Episode 1 in the theaters. It just blew my mind. So then I went back and like watched, Episode 5 and 6. Like, I get it. They're good movies, but like it didn't like in my mind, it didn't stand up to the.
So you really think Episode 1 is better than The Empire Strikes Back?
No, not objectively. Subjectively, yes.
Okay, now I'm a little confused.
My own experience and my perspective, I personally like Episode 1, but I can objectively see how Episode 5 and 6 are way better.
Oh, okay.
Like I get like the story progression is better. There's less like plot loopholes than Episode 1, but like when I was young and I saw Episode 1 in theaters, it was like the action, the pod racing scene, the Darth Maul fight, that like imprinted on me. So like I'll watch Episode 1 today over and over again, but like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Last audience question, then we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, that was other.
What was that?
Theoretically in chat, and Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks was terrible. But he wasn't as terrible as everyone made him out to be.
That's true. I'll agree with that. Yeah, he wasn't that bad.
So, question from Sven. Has Dadpool gotten more interested in philosophy over the last years?
No.
Philosophy's boring.
Philosophy is kind of an Achilles heel for me. Again, I'm very much a history guy. I need like a solid timeline that I can like follow. Philosophy is just like all over the place, and it all like meshes together, and it's my brain just can't handle all the different directions. But like history is much more linear.
Okay.
So yeah, like I've tried, like I've read a lot of philosophy books, and just like I can't.
It's not your thing.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me. I wanted it to. I tried to make it, but it's at the end of the day, it's like this is just not my thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. So where can everyone check you out at? And anything coming up you want to talk about?
So the is it the 29th? I'm gonna be going on History Valley the next couple of weeks. I can't remember the date, so stay tuned for that announcement. Other than that, I haven't been making content a lot lately. I haven't really been on social media at all. I've kind of just been working and taking care of my family and making things in my garage.
What do you make?
I make things out of wood and metal and leather and.
Oh, cool.
Where's my?
Just bring your sword down.
Have you ever played Skyrim?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, anyone in the chat who has played Skyrim will recognize this, and you'll.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah, this is all wood,
dude.
So I make all kinds of
Holy
things like
shit.
that. Right?
That is seriously amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where'd you learn to do that?
I kind of just self-taught. ADHD.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I like to make things. I make knives and swords and furniture and just whatever. I'm going to a kind of a Renaissance fair type thing this weekend that was started by another TikTok friend of mine, Norse Forged. And that's going to be super fun. He has all these like big content creators there. I'm one of them.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Other than that, like content wise, I don't really have anything planned.
All right. And
yeah.
where can everyone check you out at? What's your
So I'm
Twitter,
on
YouTube?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok as Captain Dadpool 86. Again, I haven't made many videos lately, but I still have tons of videos that are I've been told are really good. Not to toot my own horn.
You seem to be doing a good job.
So yeah, if you want to learn some things about some things, you can go check those out. I'm also on YouTube. Again, haven't made any content there in a while, but I've interviewed like all the like biggest scholars in the world of biblical criticism. Bart Ehrman, Alien Pig, not Alien Pickles, Robin Faith Walsh, Canada Moss, Andrew Seidel, just Dan McClellan, the list goes on. So I have all these really good interviews that you can watch. Other than that, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and I don't really post anything anywhere, but I'm there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this show. Stay on the line. Everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. I'd also like to send a shout out to all my patrons. Hope you all are doing well, and I appreciate your continued support. We got a few more interviews lined up over the next couple Tuesdays. I am looking to bring my call-in show back. I will not be doing it weekly because it's a lot of work, but I will be doing it probably monthly. Captain Dadpool already said he's interested in doing it, which would be great because I'd love to see him on a call-in show. So Dadpool, stay in the line. Everyone, thanks for tuning in and have a good one.